I work hard, doing all that I can. I'm getting money and fans. Does that make me a man? Does that make me a man? To build a man.
What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you joining us today. We got another good one for you today. I appreciate y'all joining us with another exciting episode of Build a Man. I have one of my good buddies with me joining me today. I'm not even going to try to say his last name because I'm not going to muck it up all on camera right here. So I'm going to allow him to say it because all we do is we call him Coach V. So Coach V, please, tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Steven Venugopal, for those of you who didn't know it and just called me Coach V for the last 15 years. But, I'm a strength conditioning coach and a football coach here in Columbia, South Carolina. I've been doing that for about 15 years now. I do personal training and small group and classes in the morning. Then I'm the director of speed and strength, and I'm the PE department chair at Cardinal Newman School. And then I also do other kinds of strength conditioning stuff after school, as well as coach football in the fall.
Man, so you're all into this strength and conditioning stuff. So, because as you can see, I can probably stand to lose about 30, 45, 67 pounds. How important is health for men?
Oh, it's everything. It's everything, especially in today's day and age. People get jobs and lose jobs based on the kind of energy they have, based on the way that they carry themselves. One of the cool things that I think that our society is going through right now is that women are getting empowered, and because of that, it's causing us men to have to raise our game. Mm-hmm. When women take care of themselves, they get up at 5 in the morning doing their hair and all kinds of other stuff. Yeah. But as men, there's a challenge for us. Okay, we can't say that we have to raise our game to take care of ourselves. Yeah. And so I think it's everything. I think regardless of how you look and stuff like that, the fact that you go through something with your nutrition and go through something with your exercise and your diet and your sleep, I think it's everything. And honestly, when it comes to having energy and being in the right frame of mind, your sleep and your diet are enormous. So I think it's huge for us.
Yeah. So with most men, if I ask the average guy and I say, hey man, when was the last time you've been to the doctor just for a regular checkup when you didn't think anything was wrong with you? They'll probably tell you never. Most men will tell you never. Mm-hmm. So how can I convince, my fellow man, hey, you need to go get checked up? What would you say to somebody to get somebody to go get checked up, even when they don't think anything is wrong, just to do those yearly physicals?
Well, to me, I think it's all about competition. Mm-hmm. I think for me as a man, I think finding ways to compete, that's what makes the work fun. If I have a task to do at work, it doesn't have anything to do with competition, I get bored. Yeah. But when there's competition involved, it's a game. And to me, I want to live to be 90. I want to live to be 100. I want to raise my sons, raise my daughter. And I want them to have, I'm thinking about my grandkids and my great grandkids and my great great grandkids and the things that they do. And I want to produce generations. Well, when I'm 70 and 80 years old, I got to A, be around, and B, I got to have the energy to be around. So going and getting those visits, that is an incredible opportunity because you get to develop the people that are coming, the next generation, your own children, and your own children's children. So it's everything, man. The saddest thing to me is there's a lot of guys out there who are not going to listen to this, and they're going to be 45 years old, and they're going to die of something that if they were just going to the doctor every year or two, that they would find. And it happens. It's happening all the time right now. It's really a tragedy.
Yeah. So I heard you talk about all the different things you're into in terms of training here and training there. Mm-hmm. It sounds like you got a business.
I have a small business. It's called Beyond Athletics. We're on social media, Beyond Athletic SC on Instagram, Twitter, Beyond Athletic SC at Gmail. Pretty much every platform, it's Beyond Athletic SC. Then I have my own personal thing on Twitter at Coach V30, and my own Steven J Venugopal at Instagram or whatever.
So these the men that are watching right now, some of them might give you 1,000 excuses as to why they're out of shape and sloppy and all that stuff like that. What would you say? What would you say to an individual to motivate them to, to get up? And what is something that they could do at their house, or something that they can do, relatively, just to get them started in terms of getting their health back in line?
Well, I think one of the most fun things that a man can do today is body weight exercise. Mm-hmm. Moving your own body weight, getting up doing push-ups, squats. If you can't do pull-ups, doing body rows, doing single leg crunches, doing all kinds of ab exercises. That kind of stuff, it makes you look good. You carry yourself better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to have more fun. I guarantee you're going to have a better life.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the day, this life, this time that we have here on earth, that's important. It's the only thing that we can all agree on is that this life we have right here is what we have in front of us. Regardless of what kind of background you come from, you can say, hey, I'm alive now, and at some point in time, that I'm going to die.
Yeah.
That's
a fact. Yeah.
So being able to have enjoy a lot of the activities you do now, as well as being able to prolong that life, why not?
Yeah. I always tell people, I say, if this is the only body that you're ever going to have to carry you through life, why are you not taking care of it?
Yes.
You'll never get another body. It's the only body you're ever going to have. And ladies and gentlemen who are watching right now, I worked out with this young man here. And he's got me by a few years, but man, when I leave, my legs be dead for a week, but I appreciate it because I know, if you were ever an athlete, after you get done playing and doing stuff, you don't realize how out of shape you are until you're actually out of shape. So what can somebody like myself who's kind of been, I played high levels of sports for most of 20 something years, and now I'm so out of shape that it's like I don't even know where to start to even get back into it.
Well, I can tell people from working out with you that you are a special kind of athlete, and I've worked with a lot of different kind of athletes over the last 15 years, and you have some blessings to you, and you've worked hard to develop those. But the big thing is that the same way that going and playing the game was fun when you were younger, it can be that same kind of a challenge now to get in shape. The same way some guys are golf guys, the same way people find different kinds of hobbies. Taking care of your fitness now, that's something that can become your own challenge. And a lot of the guys I work with, like I'm 37, who are 37 and 45, stuff like that, when it becomes kind of a game, when you get yourself, a tribe, when you get yourself a group of people who are like-minded and going the same way, it becomes something that feeds on itself. And for me, that's one of the things that I do is I find people who are trying to do something special. And then I say, well, hey, I'm not afraid. I've got nothing. Let me talk to you. Hey, what are you doing? Yeah. And then let me see how I can incorporate some of those things into my life and just build. Because at the end of the day, competing and building, that's what we do.
Yeah, that's what men do, man. You hear that? That's what men do. And you open your mouth up and you speak to other individuals and don't be so closed off. So how did you get started doing what you're doing?
It's been a lifelong thing. So I'll take you way back to the beginning. I was born in Dallas, Texas, when my dad was in seminary there, and I was there till I was about 4. And then my parents moved overseas. We lived in India for 8 years. Wow. We lived in Chicago for 3 years. Back when Jordan, the Bulls were tearing it up, and then we moved to the Philippines. And I was there for 3 years, and then went back to college. And when I was in college, I ended up going to a small school because in Wisconsin. I didn't really know what was going on because I'd gone to high school in the Philippines, and so I played football, a little bit of basketball. I think I was on the team for a couple weeks or something like that. Ran track for a couple years, and I was really into fitness. But my school, because it was a small school, and I wasn't thinking about, well, what do I want to do? But it didn't have any of the stuff that I was interested in, like exercise science or physical education or any of the things where you could explore those avenues. So I ended up graduating with a degree in philosophy, and I ended up working in business for a year. But I had this heart for mission, this heart for working with people and living a great life and helping them be great. And so I had originally wanted to go into youth ministry.
Wow.
And at the end of working for a year in business, I decided what I wanted my coaching to be my youth ministry. I wanted to become a coach, and my coaching, I wanted it to be a youth ministry. And I had some amazing mentors and men in my life who just kind of like, by the way they lived life, showed me that. And so I went to University of South Carolina. I got a master's in physical education. Believe it or not, like physical education is not just an undergrad thing. They actually give masters for it.
Oh, man.
But I did that. I got certified as a personal trainer, and then after that, I got certified as a strength and conditioning specialist by the NSCA. And along the way, it just became this thing where I originally wanted to be a head football coach and use that as my platform. And so when I was doing my master's, I did a GA with the football team and basketball team in academics. Because I said I wanted to be able to sit in a recruit's living room and tell them, hey, I'm going to take care of you academically, and I'm going to make sure this kid graduates. Then I wanted to get into strength and conditioning because I felt that was such a big part of running a football program. And eventually along the way, I just, God just led me into strength and conditioning more and more. And so my first job out of grad school ended up being as a head strength and conditioning coach at White Knoll High School. And everything just kind of built from there, just kind of started expanding into doing personal training, developing the small business, and all of that. It just kind of grew towards that.
Man,
it narrowed in on that.
Man, obviously he's had a journey, man. He's had a long journey, but I mean, you can do the same thing. These men who are out here who feel like they've got this purpose. Just follow your heart, follow your purpose, and do what your higher power is leading you to do. You could be just as great and do more. So, man, so how can people contact you?
At Beyond Athletic SC on Instagram is probably the best one. There's also at Beyond Athletic or Beyond Athletic SC at gmail.com. Those are probably the two best ways to get a hold of me. So.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on out here, man. Thanks
so
much,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you.
So if y'all just stay tuned, we got another guest coming on here in a few minutes. We're going to talk about commercial real estate. And if y'all want to get involved with any of that good stuff and make you some monies, I suggest that you stay tuned. Welcome back to Build a Man. I'm here with my buddy Rob Lapin. He is super, super nervous, and I love it, man.
I am nervous.
I love it. But he is going to talk about commercial real estate. I'm going to ask him a few questions, and we're going to get some information. And I know he's like I said, he's nervous, so y'all bear with him. But I mean, I'm telling you, when I talk about this guy being the guru of commercial real estate, y'all have probably seen his name on a lot of signs around town and things like that, and you don't even realize it. But this is the man here. And if you want to learn anything about commercial real estate, if you want to get into it or whatever, this is the guy you need to contact right here. So, appreciate you joining me today,
yes, sir.
Mr. Lapin.
Thank you.
I'm just going to get started on some things. So just tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Rob Lapin. Originally from Kansas City. Moved to Columbia about 19, 20 years ago. And probably got into commercial real estate. Let's say I moved about 21 years ago and got into commercial real estate 18 years ago.
Wow.
And it's been a long road, hard, but it's a good fun living.
It's good fun living?
Yeah.
What does commercial real estate actually, what does it mean? What does it entail?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's germane what I want to talk about is like, everybody says real estate, and most people when they think real estate, what do you think of? Homes, right?
Homes,
residential, that's what we call it. So we kind of can break real estate down into a lot of different areas, but mainly in my world, we'll think about residential or commercial. And if you said, hey, I need help selling my home, I'm not your guy. I'm a guy that knows all about commercial real estate. And what commercial real estate is, we can break it down to 4 or 5 different areas, right? And mainly that's industrial, which is warehousing. There's offices. There's retail, which this lovely facility that we're at used to be a service merchandise way back in the old days.
So he knows about the place where we're recording it.
But I mean, and so they've had to adaptively refit this building. This wonderful church bought it, and now it's become a great ministry. But prior to that, it was a service merchandise, and prior to that, it was probably just raw land that had to be developed, right? So we talked about industrial, office, retail, which this was retail at one time, and then we get into land. Okay, and investment, right? So most people that have, they all think, hey, I want to invest in commercial real estate, right? So what does that mean, right?
Yeah.
So there's different areas, like, so there's retail. You can invest in shopping centers, strip centers, single tenant buildings, or you could invest in, let's say, condominiums or duplexes or rental houses for students at the university. So there's so many different areas that you could be in. But, a lot of people say, hey, I want to get into real estate, or I want to get in. And I guess, talking about what your what your podcast is about, building a man, and what it's all about. And it's something I want to talk about. I think I could talk about how you can try to make money.
Yeah.
And we can do that another time too. But the main thing is to understand is it takes hard work.
Yeah.
And it's just like I didn't just get into real estate. I mean, I didn't make anything my first year. My second year, I made a little bit more money. But what I did was I paid it forward. I always pay things forward. I do the right thing. So if you call me and say, "Hey, Rob, I'm looking for a building. I'm just not quite sure I want to do a deal right now." I'm going to take you around, show you, just like, even if you don't do it. But you know what? If I do it right and I do the right things, you're going to call me again.
Yeah.
Or you're going to refer business.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people say, "Hey, don't go waste time on this or that." And I always think about things in a different way. It's like if I can pay it forward and I do the right thing, will it come back to help me a year down the road? And, I guess I could give you an example of that.
Yeah.
A very large company in town, I guess 15 years ago, wasn't that large, okay? But they were a known company. And what happened was I called on them, and they were in a trailer up on Fairfield Road, the business. They had a little fence around the business. They had a warehouse. And I called on them, like I said 15, 17 years ago. And what happened is they said, "No, we're not really interested in moving." Well, 5 years later, they call me and say, "Hey, Rob, we might be interested in moving." I called them on a trailer. It's just a cold call. But that's what you have to do to pay your dues, right? And, then we looked and maybe nothing happened. But then, about a year later, I went out and I found them 10,000 square feet of office space for the corporate offices up at Synergy Business Park off of Berry Hill Road.
Yeah.
So, moving it forward, all of a sudden this company got bought out by for $300 million.
Oh my God.
And they said, "Rob, our next goal is to get bought out and be $1 billion company.
Yeah.
So we have to raise our corporate image. We need new office space."
Oh my God.
So then what happened is I went and took them around town and showed them a wonderful space down in the downtown area, put them in a 20,000 square foot office space, and 10-year lease for, it was a very significant deal.
Living good.
But what I'm saying is it all started with just a little call.
Yeah.
And like people probably saying, "Why is this guy calling on us?"
Yeah.
But you just never know.
Yeah.
And you have to treat everybody with respect, and you've got to, work hard.
If somebody wanted to get started, what are the steps they have to do to get started in commercial real estate?
Well, commercial real estate, residential real estate, it's from a licensure standpoint, it's all the same, right? So anybody can go get your license, and then you have to basically take the classes, take your state classes, pass the test, and then you've got to find a real estate company that you want to work for and hang your shingle, if you will, or hang your license. Right?
Yeah.
And and like I said, commercial real estate isn't for everybody because it might take you 6 months to a year to make a deal. And like I said, I told you, I called on this deal. It took really 7-8 years to make any money with this group. So you've got to.
But when you made it, you made it.
But right, you do well. Yeah. But everything takes work. It's like I'm driving here down the road, and I didn't know that like your offices were here, but like I said, I came up here and said, "Man, this was service merchandise." But you've got to understand your craft, like anything that you do, in what you do. You're always trying to better yourself, and whether it's working out, which you were talking about earlier today, and you've got to constantly be building yourself up and work hard.
Yeah. So tell us, how can people contact you?
I work at a new company. After 18 years, I left a company here in town and have gone to work for a company called Trinity Properties, which is a boutique firm. There's about 8 of us over there, and right off Main Street. So you could call me at 803-513-1518, which is my personal cell, or Trinity Properties. It'd be Lapin, RLAPIN, at trinity-partners.com.
Yeah.
So I gotta make sure that's right.
Yeah, you gotta make sure that's right.
I have to edit that one.
Yeah. So if y'all don't know, this is gonna be an unofficial sponsorship right here, since he's plugging that in.
So it is Lapin at trinity-partners.com. And if you want to take a picture of my card, that's it. But you can get a hold of me at Trinity Partners also and just look it up.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming out here to talk to us today, man. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
and I hope to have you back
again. Yeah.
All right, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Build a Man. I got two more guests, our final two guests of the day, and we are going to be talking about some things that you're probably interested in. Presidential candidates, elections, all that crazy stuff going on. And, we're going to see, what these two gentlemen, who are they supporting, the different types of things that's going on, what their opinions are and everything. This young gentleman to my left is Marcurius Byrd. He is my fraternity brother, so we've known each other for a while. But this guy here, he's got a story to tell you about how we met and how we're connected. So I'm going to ask him first off, Mr. Hurd, Barrett Hurd, how did you meet me?
Would you like the long version or the short version?
Let me get the 2.5 to 3 minute version.
All right, so it all began. I want to faithfully. I discovered a candidate running for president, Andrew Yang. Got involved with their campaign, and I was all alone in the state of South Carolina. Just recently relocated here in January to Columbia. I was trying to find anyone I could to help me. Fortunately, through the grace of God, ended up being connected with an individual who said, "We've got a guy who never shuts up about Andrew Yang, and we think he can help you out a lot." And so from there, that's how we were connected. Started with a phone call. It was instant connection. It was great. It was fantastic, and all the burden that that I was dealing with was lifted off my shoulders. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. So this candidate Andrew Yang, man, I was actually researching him like last year sometime, and when I saw the stuff he was talking about like actually happening, I was like, man, I like this guy here has got to be our president, man. Because he's the only candidate I've heard talking about this issue. So I mean, it's just I just got to support this guy. So there'll probably be some big news out. Matter of fact, by the time this one airs, I will be his state director for the state of South Carolina. So it's okay for me to go ahead and say that now. So by the time this airs here. So anyways, I got a few more questions to ask these two gentlemen here. So let me ask this guy, since you just gave us a story of how you met me. What is your opinion on the upcoming presidential election cycle? What is your opinion?
So my opinion,
what's your title? And what do you do? Like, what are the stuff you do? I'm sorry about that. What do you do?
Brief introduction. So I am the executive committee man for the Richland County Democratic Party. Basically what that means is I try to represent all of the Democrats in Richland County to the state level Democratic Party. So whenever we have a vote on issues or decisions that the state Democratic Party is going to work on, I try to do my best to make sure the voices of all our constituents in Richland County are heard. So, like, for example, today I'm wearing my Planned Parenthood t-shirt.
Yeah, he's not just a bum.
Yeah, not just a bum, do a whole bunch of stuff. But, like, one of my jobs would be to make sure that people who are very pro, like, abortion rights get their voice heard, and also take into account that we have many people who are consider themselves pro-life or pro-birth, and make sure that their voice is also heard at the state Democratic Party as well, because we do know that Democrats a lot of times don't agree completely on issues, and we want to make sure.
Do we ever?
Yeah.
Do we ever?
Yeah. So I try my best to make sure everybody's point of view is heard and considered whenever there's a meeting going on as well.
Yeah. So before I let him get back into what his opinion is on this presidential cycle, he's kind of been a little bit modest. Also, he is a Juris Doctor as well, and does a lot of things. But he is also one of the founders of the Young Democrats of the Central Midlands, and I am the vice chair of that organization right now. And also, he is a member of the Young Democrats of South Carolina and a whole bunch of other things. So, without further ado, sir, he's well versed in this political spectrum here. And if you need anything about data, or however y'all pronounce it, data, this is the guy to go to right here. Make sure you call this gentleman here. So again, back to your opinion on this presidential cycle.
So my opinion on this is kind of, I would say, hopefully a typical opinion, that this is going to be the most influential election of our lifetime. Because basically, if the Democrats don't come out of this, the country is screwed.
For lack of a better word.
For lack of a better word.
Yeah.
So, like he's saying, I am a Juris Doctorate, and coming at this, one of my focuses was constitutional law. And so looking at what's been going on now with the Constitution and how Republicans have been acting in the Senate, the White House, Congress in general, has been very disappointing, yet not unexpected. So a lot of what we need to be worried about is like the presidential election is highly important, but also the Senate race is going to be important. So people like Jamie Harrison and Gloria Tanubu, who are running against Lindsey Graham, is also a highly important race because the Senate works with electing the judges that the president is going to be selecting. And a lot of things that we haven't been paying attention to as liberals and Democrats is the court system. And if a lot of people have been wanting prison reform to happen, but if the judges who are in place that the Senate is confirming are against all the decisions we want, even if we have the prison reform that we are trying to get to, the judges who are making those decisions still have the final word. So that's something we need to pay attention to as well. So the presidential election is going to be highly important to, one, restore rule of law, and then second, to make sure that we're trying to make sure we have presidential candidates who are electing judges that will actually work for the people and not for their own self-interest or Russia.
Yeah, or Russia. He slid that one in there. So, same question to you. What is your opinion of this upcoming presidential election cycle?
It's like you said, before this last presidential election, this is definitely now taking the forefront of definitely the biggest one in our lifetime. You're in a position right now with even just the Supreme Court having the people who are in charge now. If that gets into a certain position, you have a lifetime of rules that we will never be able to undo or be able to go up against. So you're really in a position that has got to be perpetuated forward, be able to save the nation essentially from what could happen.
Yeah. So with that being said, who are you supporting and why?
So that's an easy question. That's the easy question of the night. Andrew Yang. Easy is the reason is because essentially if you listen to anybody talk, political, people that are running, they tend to talk in circles. They tend to avoid questions and not give you direct data-based answers. And Andrew is the complete opposite of that. Whenever you sit down, you have a conversation with him about what he wants to do. He will provide you the data, the statistics on where we are, what's going on in the world today, and then he'll provide the same on how he plans on being able to fix that situation. And so, honestly, the first time I heard him talk, he's the first candidate I literally dropped what I was doing and gave him money. And that was the reason. I'd seen Elizabeth Warren live. I've seen Cory Booker. They kind of fall into this position where they become rehearsed to a degree because they've said the same thing so many times for years on end. And he's not in that position. He's prepared, not rehearsed. And I think that shows. You can feel that from him.
Yeah, man. And you, my good sir, who are you supporting and why?
As I'm an officer, we do have this position that we try to stay neutral during the primary. Who I'm supporting all the Democratic candidates because all of them will be better than what we have now. And if you're unaware, that's about 24 people who are currently running for the Democratic nomination. If you haven't had an opportunity or a chance to get to know these candidates, the South Carolina Democratic Convention will be on June 21st and 22nd. And we will have, I believe right now we're up to 20 of those candidates in the state here to come speak. And so that will give you an opportunity to come, get to meet them, get to hear from them, and you can kind of decide for yourself who you're going to be supporting.
Yeah. Well, by the time this show airs, that would have already happened. So, but anyways, we are in a crucial time right now in our lives. So it is very important that us men start to get out there and exercise our right to vote and just be heard. We have the right to do it, so why not do it? So let's just go ahead and get out there and exercise our right, no matter who you're voting for. Just get out there and really let's try to take back the country and make it something that's going to be great for our children and our grandchildren and our families. We all pretty much want the same thing, whether it's Democrat, Republican, Independent. We all want to have healthy families. We all want to have healthy children. We all just want to live a good life. So let's go out there and let's start working toward doing that. So, Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Build a Man.